Hello, and welcome to day 3 of learning backend development from chatgpt. So let's get started. So in yesterday's lesson, we just looked at basics of the JavaScript language, basically. Well, Node.js, which is using JavaScript. Okay, so let's ask for the lesson 3. Well, yeah, day 3. Okay. Now please give me lesson 3. Okay, let's see what we're going to store. So HTTP requests and stuff, REST APIs. Okay, so building a basic server with Node.js. 1. Creating a simple server. What the topic is. So in Node.js, you could use the built-in HTTP model to create a web server that listens for client requests and sends back responses. This is the core of server-side programming with Node.js. So here's a basic HTTP server in Node.js. So we require HTTP, and we're having a server. So we can basically just do http.createServer. It's that easy. So this is here is a function, rec and res. These are arguments to the function. So result, so request and result. So we're doing result with status code 200, set header, content text plain, and hello world. And we can listen on port 3000, which is where our server is being created. And yeah, we can say the server is running at localhost 3000. So http.createServer creates a new server object that listens for HTTP requests. The callback function rec-res handles the incoming requests and responses. Rec sends the HTTP request object containing things like headers, URL, etc. Res represents the HTTP response object used to send a response back to the client. So rec is basically the information of the request that's just been sent, and res is it's basically like a reference you would have in C++. That is the object that you're returning back to the user. So status code, set the HTTP status code of response of the response, so 200 for success. Res.set header specifies the content type of the response, in this case plain text. Res.end sends the response to the client and signals that the response is complete. Server.listen 3000 starts the server and makes it listen on port 3000. When the server is running, you can visit localhost 3000 to see the message hello world in your browser. Okay. So 2, handling requests and responses. So a server receives client requests and sends responses back, like we just seen. The request contains information like the HTTP method, get, post, etc., the requested URL, and headers. The response contains the status code, headers, and the body, the actual content returned. Logging the request method and URL. So we can do server equals http.createServer like we just saw. And this is basically what we just saw. Instead, this time we're logging the request method and the request URL. And the same code as before. So rec.method represents the HTTP method. So get, post, then delete. There's also put. It tells the server what action the client wants to perform. Rec.url shows the requested URL path. In this example, whenever the server receives a request, it logs the method and URL, and then sends a response with the message request received. So sending HTML as a response. So instead of sending plain text, the server can send HTML content to the client, allowing the client's browser to render a web page. So sending an HTML page as a response, you can just do .end, and then instead of passing in hello world, you can pass in your HTML code. Then yeah, so .listen again on port 3000. So explaining the examples: content type text HTML. This tells the browser to interpret the response as an HTML document. Res.end. This sends an entire HTML string as the body of the response. When the client accesses the server, the HTML is rendered as a web page. So, understanding routes and URL handling. So, in a web server, routes refer to the specific paths or URLs that a client requests, and the server responds differently based on the path. Each route can serve different content or trigger different actions. Examples. Basic route handling with Node.js. Okay, so we're going to create a server. If the URL is just the forward I forgot the name of it. Oh, I just have the mind blank. Okay, but and then res status code is 200. We're setting the header as again HTML, the content type, and then we're moving another homepage. So this is just selective rendering. So if it's the about page slash, my bad. And then we're setting the code is 200 for all times. Oh, except from when it's not a valid URL. And then about us. Okay. So yeah, this is pretty cool stuff and pretty easy to do. So rect URL, the server checks the value of rect URL to determine which page the client is requesting. If else, depending on the requested URL, the server sends different responses. So / serves the home page, about page, any URL results in a 404 error not found message. This type of routing allows you to handle multiple pages and URLs in your server. Okay, so assignments and questions. Create a basic server, which is what it basically just gave us. It needs to stop just... Okay, so I just walked through again. So we require HTTP and a .create server, and we have the rec and res. And we set the status code and header and the end, which is basically the value. So text plain, and the other one is text HTML. Okay, and then modify the server log to so it's just what is shown, what's also shown, and what it's also shown. Okay, now let's just copy this code and add the contact. So I'm just going to create it here, as this is the Node.js. When I looked at Node.js editor, that's what it came up with. Okay, so we're just going to do else if soon I'll probably just get a GitHub code space up, as it's easier to do. Okay, so else if we need to obviously pass in rec.url is equal to contact. Res.status code. So basically just copying this in a minute. May as well just copy paste it. Res.status code is 200. 200 remember success code 404. Not found. So we're going to change this to contact. I'm actually interested to see what this. Yeah, we need to do const HTTP equals require is run. Let's see what it's doing. Anything? Or is it just going to do infinite loop? Okay, might just do an infinite loop because we're creating a server and there's no actual other web page. Oh yeah. Oh, so it is. It's running on localhost. Well, we're going to listen on port 3000. So yeah, that's all for today's video. So thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.